If you own a camper van in 2026, there's a high chance you're already breaking the law, and it can cost you $23,000 instantly. You spend $60,000 on a camper van. You did the research, you watched the tours, you read the forums, and then you crossed a state line and broke 3 federal laws before breakfast. This isn't a speeding ticket. These are laws written specifically for camper vans and motorhomes. Laws your dealer will never mention. Laws YouTube never covers. In 2024 alone, over 14,000 RV and camper van owners received citations, impoundment notices, or insurance denials for violations they had absolutely no idea existed. This is not van life content. This is a financial survival guide for anyone spending $30,000 to $120,000 on a camper van in 2026. Here's the rule that separates smart buyers from expensive ones. Smart buyers research the legal framework before they research the vehicle, because the moment you title a camper van, you don't just own a vehicle, you've entered a completely different legal universe. Different insurance rules, different registration weight classes, different zoning laws, and in some states, actual building codes that apply to your van the moment you sleep in it. Dealers won't tell you this. Most YouTube channels don't know it. That's exactly why we're here. The laws changed in 2025. States updated RV habitation statutes. 2 EU countries rewrote wild camping rules. The IRS reversed prior guidance on camper van deductions. If you're buying in 2026 with 2022 information, you are walking into a minefield with a blindfold on. Here are the 5 laws that will cost you real money if you don't understand them before you sign anything. Law number 3 is the one that nobody talks about, and it's the one that destroys $8,000 builds overnight. Stay with me. And at the end, I'll show you the one title mistake that forced a buyer to pay over $11,000 after purchase on a van they'd already owned for 60 days. Law number 1. Vehicle classification and the dwelling trap. When you buy a converted cargo van, a Sprinter, a Transit, a ProMaster, you face an immediate classification decision. Most buyers don't even know it's a decision. Do you title it as a passenger vehicle, a commercial vehicle, or a recreational vehicle? Titling it as an RV sounds smart. Lower registration fees, some tax advantages, access to RV campgrounds. Sounds like a smart move, right? It's not. This is where people lose $8,000. The moment your van is classified as an RV in California, Colorado, Florida, or New York, it becomes subject to NFPA 1192. That's the code that governs electrical systems, propane installation, ventilation, and emergency egress windows. A standard conversion van almost certainly does not meet those standards, which means your RV classification gets challenged at inspection, your insurance denies the claim on improper classification grounds, and in serious cases, the vehicle gets impounded. Real buyer cost, $4,200 to $11,000 to bring a conversion up to NFPA 1192 compliance after purchase. The fix is simple. Before you buy any converted van, call your insurance carrier, not after, before. Ask one question: will this vehicle be insurable as an RV under its current build? If the dealer can't answer that question, that is your answer. One inspection and your legal RV isn't legal anymore. But here's what's worse than a classification problem. It's what happens to your insurance the moment you actually live in the van. And law number 2 is going to surprise you. Law number 2, stealth camping, urban overnight parking, and the Habitation clause. 23 of the 25 largest cities in the United States have explicit ordinances against vehicle habitation. Los Angeles, Seattle, Denver, Portland, Austin, and enforcement has gotten sharper in 2025, not softer. Many cities now use license plate scanning to track vehicles parked at the same location for more than 72 consecutive hours. But this is not a parking problem. This is an insurance problem. Pull out your current auto or RV policy. Find the clause that reads something like, "Coverage does not apply when the vehicle is used as a primary residence." That clause exists in most standard policies. It means this: your van gets broken into, $40,000 of gear, equipment, and personal property gone. You file the claim, and your insurer asks one question: was this your primary residence? One answer, and your entire $80,000 van becomes your problem overnight. Real buyer cost up to $45,000 in uninsured vehicle and personal property losses from a single denied claim. The fix is specific. You need a full-time RV endorsement, not a standard auto policy. Insurers like National General, Progressive RV, and Good Sam offer full-time coverage, $1,200 to $3,400 annually. This is where amateurs lose money. Smart buyers handle this before they ever take delivery. Live in it full-time, and your insurance can disappear overnight. Now you've protected your classification, you've protected your insurance, but what about the actual build inside your van? Because law number 3 is where $8,000 worth of conversion work disappears legally.
Law number 3, propane and electrical, the build violation nobody warns you about. Before we go further, understand this. Everything you've seen so far, that can cost you a few $1,000s. What's coming next is different. This is where people lose entire builds. The camper van conversion market in the US is worth over $800 million a year. In a significant portion of that market, budget conversion shops, Instagram builders, DIY sellers, operates with zero compliance to electrical or propane codes. Zero. Here's what that means when you're the buyer. You purchase a converted van, beautiful build, solar system, lithium batteries, propane cooktop. Looks perfect. But the lithium battery system is non-compliant. The propane regulator was never pressure tested. The 120V AC wiring doesn't meet ABYC or NEC standards. You cannot get it RVIA certified. And without RVIA certification, a growing list of state parks, national park campgrounds, and RV resorts will not let you through the gate. Perfect build, zero compliance, worth nothing legally. Real buyer cost, $3,000 to $8,500 to rebuild a non-compliant electrical or propane system after purchase. Here's exactly how to protect yourself. Ask the seller for the build documentation, wiring diagrams, propane schematics, either an RVIA sticker or a third-party inspection certificate. Legitimate conversion shops have this paperwork. If they don't, that's the negotiation. Drop the price by at least $5,000 or walk. There are inspection services that will evaluate a conversion van for $350 to $600, full compliance report. That $500 inspection has saved buyers from $8,000 rebuilds more than once. Now, if you're a US buyer, laws 1 through 3 are your core risk. But if you're buying in Europe or planning to take a van into EU territory, law number 4 is a completely different problem, and it's one that can strand your vehicle at the border. Law number 4, European registration, the directive that strands your van. You can cross into Europe with a perfectly legal van, and overnight it becomes illegal to sleep in it. That's not a hypothetical. That's what EU Directive 2007/46/EC does to private campervan conversions that haven't been independently certified. France, Germany, the Netherlands all require campervans used for overnight accommodation to meet specific standards, insulation ratings, ventilation specs, minimum bed dimensions. If your van doesn't meet those standards on paper, you can be fined for illegal camping at an official campsite, one you paid to use. Real buyer cost, €2,000 to €9,000 to retrofit to EU Habitation standards, plus re-registration fees. The vehicles that consistently clear EU certification with minimal modification, VW California, all post-2015 models, Fiat Ducato-based conversions from certified EU builders, Mercedes-Benz Marco Polo, factory built, factory certified. Private conversions, no matter how well built, require independent certification in most EU member states. Budget €800 to €1,500 for that certification process before you commit to the purchase. Smart buyers do this differently. They verify EU compliance before they fall in love with the build. Law number 5.
weight class, CDL requirements, and the license you probably don't have. In the U.S., any motorhome exceeding 26,001 pounds GVWR requires a non-commercial Class B CDL to operate in most states. Most buyers assume recreational vehicles operate under normal licensing rules. They don't. But here's the bigger problem, and this catches Class C buyers specifically. Many Class C motorhomes, once fully loaded, water tanks, solar batteries, gear, and passengers, exceed the posted GVWR. Operating an overloaded vehicle voids your manufacturer warranty, voids most insurance policies, and in an at-fault accident, transfers liability directly to you, personally, no cap. Overweight once, and the accident becomes your liability, not your insurer's. Real buyer cost, unlimited personal liability in an at-fault accident. The smart buying move is simple arithmetic. Subtract the base curb weight from the GVWR. That number is your actual payload capacity for water, gear, solar equipment, and passengers combined. Most Class C buyers discover they have $8,000 to $12,000 less capacity than they assumed. On a $75,000 purchase, that is a fundamental error that no negotiation can fix after the papers are signed. Expert buying tips. Mileage limits by platform. Sprinter diesel by under 120,000, past 150K, $4,000 to $7,000 timing chain risk. No warning, it just finds you. Ford Transit 3.5-liter EcoBoost is solid to 200,000. Avoid 2017 to 2019 carbon buildup on the intake manifold, $1,800 to $2,600. It happens quietly. Ram ProMaster, strong under 80,000. Past 100,000, the front-wheel drive transfer unit becomes a $2,200 to $4,000 bill most buyers never see coming. These aren't opinions, these are repair records. Smart buyers price these risks in before they make an offer. Best years to target. Sprinter, 2019 to 2022. VW California, 2019 to 2021. T6 platform, before the ID California transition uncertainty. Winnebago Revel, 2018 to 2020. Pre-AWD revision. Post-2021 drivetrain service is more complex and more expensive. Engines to avoid. Diesel with active DEF or AdBlue past 130,000, no documented injector service history. Repair, $3,500 to $6,200. It will not warn you. Gasoline van with a CVT under heavy conversion load, not rated for it. Failure is not if, it's when. Buyer mistake warning. The single most expensive mistake in campervan buying is not choosing the wrong vehicle. It's buying the right vehicle with the wrong title. Here's what happens. Buyer purchases a converted Sprinter, used as a camper for 3 years by the previous owner. In Texas, Colorado, and Arizona, a vehicle used as a primary residence can be legally reclassified as a manufactured dwelling once certain habitability thresholds are established. The buyer tries to register the vehicle. The DMV flags it. It cannot be registered as an RV. It meets the state's definition of a mobile home, which means different titling, different tax classification, and in some counties, different zoning rules about where it can even be parked. In Texas, this reclassification added $11,400 in back taxes and fees to a buyer's purchase. The seller had no idea. The dealer had no idea. The buyer had absolutely no idea. This is exactly the kind of thing that doesn't show up in a test drive. It shows up 60 days later in a letter from the DMV. The fix costs nothing and takes 2 minutes. Before you buy any used campervan, call your state DMV and ask this exact question. Has this vehicle ever been titled or registered as a domicile, dwelling, or manufactured home in any state? One question, free, can save you 5 figures. In 2026, the van you buy is not just a vehicle. It is a legal entity that triggers insurance law, habitation law, weight class law, building code, and in some cases, property tax.
The buyers who get this right don't spend more money, they spend it in the right order. Legal framework first, insurance structure second, vehicle third. That is the sequence that keeps your $60,000 purchase from becoming a $75,000 problem. Most people think they're buying freedom. In reality, they're buying rules they don't understand, and that's exactly how they lose everything. Before you buy a van, drop your top 3 choices in the comments below. I will tell you exactly which one carries the highest legal and financial risk for your situation. 3 van names, that's all it takes, and it might save you everything.